Hello, my name is Juliet. I'm host and creator of Unique or Typical podcast. If you wanted to become next guest of one of upcoming episodes, go and contact info@uniqueortypical.com. And if you wanted to see more episodes of Unique or Typical, subscribe to this channel. Hello, may you introduce yourself, please?
Okay, my name is John Bonilla. I'm from Colombia. My experience is about learning English, and during these 7 months, I am trying to understand how is the movement and how is the life here in Dubai.
Let's start and talk about your country, about Colombia. Can you reveal most common stereotypes about Colombia or Colombian people?
Okay, the most common stereotypes, it's about drugs traffic. So regularly, when you visit any country, not only in the case of Dubai, you can find that people ask about of the drug traffic. For example, you can see in many movies, for example, in Netflix series, they talk about of the narcos and other kind of things about it, and it's a real situation in Latin America, but not it's only one, because at the same time, when like Colombian people, we have the stereotype that we are a Caribbean people. We really love dance, and people say that if you are Colombian, you are talkative, you are a good dancer. For example, you can dance salsa, you can dance Caribbean rhythms. It's another kind of stereotype. Yes.
I understand. Let's mention about geographical position of Colombia. Can you name neighboring countries and which seas surrounding Colombia, and a little bit about territory of Colombia?
Okay. Colombia is located in the north of South America. Colombia connects South and Central America, has a connection with two oceans, Pacific Ocean, approximately 1,700 kilometers of coast with Pacific, and 1,300 kilometers with Atlantic Ocean. So we have too much connection with the sea. Our neighborhoods are in Central America. You can find Panama, and in the north we connect with Venezuela, then with Brazil, and in south with Ecuador, Peru. They are our neighborhoods. Inside of the country, we have cordilleras, like a chain of mountains, three chains of mountains, and then in the end of the country, they connect and continue like Andeans mountains.
I understand. What is the main languages and main religion? And maybe talk a little bit about ethnicity of Colombia.
Okay, so we speak Spanish. Most people in our country practice like Catholicism. Some people that near like similar but not the same is Protestant, like it's the other the other religion that has many followers, people who really believe in that. But our constitution permits that you don't have any religion in special.
Which ethnicity you can find in Colombia?
Okay, so we have 100 and 102, more than 100 indigenous groups. So because we are a big country, so we have 50 millions of peoples of people is our population. So this ethnicity has your own regions. So sometimes, for example, in there are our geographical is divided in 32 departments. There are, for example, departments that has too much indigenous people, like for example, Cauca has especially a concentrate of indigenous people, and they sometimes they have their own political rulers. Okay, it's about of the ethnicity.
I understand. Thank you. 1 second. So while doing my research about Colombia, I read that economy of Colombia it's on the higher rates between other Latin America countries. So could you, if you can explain a little bit about economy of Colombia and maybe in general about safety, about educational system, just a little bit about all the aspects.
Okay. In a region, there are at least 4 countries that has a bigger economy than Colombia. Brazil, because Brazil is 10 size bigger than Colombia. Then continue Mexico, then Argentina, then Chile, and in the 5th place is Colombia. Colombia has approximately our income increase is about 5,000 euros, and in this moment it's so similar like dollars. So $5,000 per person per year. Not is a big increase, but it's in a medium in a world. Our economy, when you see outside, you found that our principal products are coffee, flowers, banana, in agriculture, but the country has most services. For example, in a cities, in a special cities, people now in a world normally recognize cities like Bogota, Medellin, or Cartagena. This city has another services. For example, surgeries like aestheticas. For example, rhinoplastic, ACE. So and are cheaper than other countries and has a good quality, a good level. So we had in our country tourists like healthy tourists, and another kind of tourists, because for example Cartagena is a special city in a world, and there are many people that really love to visit for another kind of tourism.
What about safety in country? How the situation with safety in general?
Okay, so sometimes when you have to answer that question, you have to explain your position, because, for example, I lived in a big city in Bogota, in the biggest city in Colombia. Cities normally has another kind of problems with, for example, security, but not necessarily similar like rural zones. So I have to say that in cities the problem sometimes is robber. Robber is present in our cities. For example, that people who rob cell phones, bicycles, or jewelry. You have to take if you visit the country, normally the visitor, uh, normally other Colombian people take care for the visitors, because we really are friendly with visitors. But if you are citizen, maybe if you visit some neighborhoods, you have some problems with the security. But out of sight, we have in a rural places continue the problem that started 50 years ago or more, with guerrilla, with problems with paramilitaries, and there are places that are with security difficulties. I think that there are like three levels. Sometimes people who, uh, for example, expose problems about, for example, about lands, about environmental, for example, that in a jungle are destroy a jungle. People, activists has a high level to be murdered or to receive the security is more difficult sometimes for the activist person. For some journalists that the journal make, for example, some research, some investigation about one topic, for example, corruption. They have another levels insecurity. But then of it, if you are in other kind of majors, in other profession, maybe don't have the same problems. But if you go to places that has insecurity, if you go with jewelry or that, you expose. This is the situation in this moment in our country.
Could you cover also about educational level? If education is good in Colombia, or people prefer to go abroad to get education?
Okay. I think that the education in our country, I can qualify in a regular level, because, for example, elementary school and secondary school is free. You can access to the public education without a problem. No necessarily the quality is better, because when you compare the results in a test with OCDE, with the countries that has high levels, Colombia has down results. But at least we share our results with other countries. It's good. It's good. But for example, it's difficult to access to university, because there are a few public universities, and it's expensive to pay private universities. But I think that is good for our country, that we have good internet access, and it's cheaper. Really, when you compare with other countries, it's cheaper to get that access. And for example, if you want to buy a computer, don't have to pay taxes, so you can buy only for the price. I think that is a good point in our country.
Talking about Colombian people in general, can you name like a common portrait of Colombian person, and maybe explain the common lifestyle for people from Colombia, what they love to do, what they passionate about? In general, of course, everyone is different, but generally talking.
Yes, yes, yes. No, 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 not easy at all. Not because we have regions. If I talk, for example, about of the people in the cities, like Bogota and Medellin, they are a fashionable city because, for example, in those cities, you can find many clothes, and we produce clothes for the rest of Latin America. It's you have many options for your outfit, uh, and for me, I think that not is expensive at all, and you have many options. Um, in general, we are a people who really love, for example, to dance, to share. We are a talkative people. In the end of the week, regularly we went to the disco, bar, pub, and we really love, for example, share a beer, or share with our friends. I think that there are a really stereotype with Latin American people that is that we are so friendly, and we really like to share with many people. And I think that is really, or at least for me and my friends, this is a reality.
Could you tell me how, for person who is not from Colombia, how this person can perfectly fit in Colombian society? How to be accepted by Colombian society, for example, if you travel in Colombia or if you stay for living and for work in Colombia, how to fit in?
Okay, okay. I think that we are a open society, so we are not. I think that our country uh, do not receive too much tourists. You can find and year by year increase of number of tourists. And for example, there are places that are more like a costume to trade and to receive the tourists. For example, Cartagena, for example, the coast. Uh, People are really friendly, really friendly. For example, There are programs for Japanese guys that had can be don't wanna continue their life. So before that, they take bad decisions. Travel to Colombia and live with poor people, with family that are in a margin of the city, in a neighbors that are poor. And these Japanese people, that live in their neighborhoods, don't know how to speak in Spanish, and family don't know how speak in Japanese, but start to get it only in signs, and they integrate to the community, and understand that known that without in some condition, that for example in poor condition, people can be really live sometimes happy, and it like give another view in your life. uh, I think that not is difficult that you can fit in our country, because our country have its open mind, so try to understand, maybe make question, because we are so talkative. So explain me about your religion, because I would like to know. But I really respect, because we are open to the religion. And if you know things, for example, another idiom, for example, about technology, it's good, because you can share, and you can give that kind of notes for Colombian people, especially for our child, because our child needs to see and to know too much country, that it needs to know other experience.
And can you explain from your own experience of living in Colombia, um, how how it is to live in Colombia? Maybe highlight positive and negative sides.
Okay. Oh, um, I'm going to start with the negative because positive there are more really. I think that the insecurities maybe it's a problem in Colombia. I that sometimes you can feel fear because you can get violence outside. Sometimes because you can see news and news are so like a heavy, and this is a point that sometimes is difficult. At the same time, for example, in the cities, we have a very crowd traffic. So it's difficult in that moment that you can move between one point and another point. It's like has many time. Not is a high standard of life because not is good that kind of things. The other thing maybe is that for example, we have a high rate of unemployment. This the last month, our statistics say that we have 10% of disemployment in our country. So there are many problems with the economic opportunities. So I think that this are the 3 points that is difficult to live in Colombia. Maybe in this moment we have a movement, a special movement in Colombia, because we lived the last 10 of 80s, the last 40 years, we have many problems with the drugs traffic. So we have a movement inside of Colombia to legalize the drugs. So it's especially with cannabis, for example, and cannabis in this moment it's reviewed by the Congress of Colombia to get to the option to be legalized. For example, in some places in land countries in Uruguay, maybe Colombia between this year and the next year, and we legalize the cannabis and maybe change many things in our country about of the traffic of drugs. I think that is the only thing that I have to say, especially because maybe it's a really change in our society. And in the other hand, the positive is that you can find friendly people, people that it's cooperative, like people who really like help other people. You have a good weather because we only have some months we are drier and some months cloudy, but we don't have the 4 seasons, so we are a country that is near to the equator line. We have many foods, many kind of foods. We have a country that has a beautiful biodiversity. We have too much our like a landscape, our mountains, our coast are very beautiful. So Forbes in February in this year, in February, Forbes post a list of 50 beautiful countries in a world, and Colombia was placed in the third. Colombia was located in the third place.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful country, and I think that has many things that it's very good that live and to visit Colombia.
I understand. You just mentioned about beautiful nature in Colombia, so let's talk about nature now. Colombia is very biodiverse, multi-biodiverse country. So can you explain a little bit about that? Because I know that you have many species of animals and also the trees, and also you have a lot of birds. Like the country first, like number one country of the quantity of birds. So could you explain a little bit about flora and fauna of Colombia?
Well, it's difficult because we are the second country in the world that with biodiversity. It's so in if I can explain, our country has 5 regions. And for example, if you, for example, think in a Pacific region who the border is the Pacific Ocean, and you can find that the trees are bigger. You can find like vegetation, like it's big. It's bigger than normal. Animals there are bigger than normally, because it's a rich land.
Yeah.
And maybe because has another weather. So and you can find, for example, on the sea, really beautiful fishes. You can see snakes, but not normally in a country, in a town. Not in a town, not necessary. But if you have to go to walk in a special walk, in a special space that you can visit, you can find that kind of animals. There are many people that visit Colombia only to take take photos for birds, because birds are so beautiful, and we have too much spaces. So at North is the only one. You can find many kind of animals in our country.
In Colombia, you have many, 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 like around 60 national parks.
Yes.
So
Yes.
can you explain a little bit about it?
Okay. We have a web page that is National Parks of Colombia. Like you say, we have 60 areas, not necessarily park, 60 areas. And in this moment are open 23 natural parks to public access. No all parts can be accessed for people, because it's necessary to, like, conservation. Sometimes has to take some special cares. For example, sometimes close the Nevado Park, because the snow can be suffered if people walking on it. Sometimes closed, sometimes open. The same happen, for example, the most special in that moment is Chiribiquete. Chiribiquete Park is too special, as their stones are maybe only are compared, like, 2 or 3 countries in the world that has that kind of stones. And in this moment is closer to people, has another take of cares. But for example, we have other spices that are so beautiful. Sierra de la Macarena. Sierra de la Macarena is a beautiful space that you can find a river that has 7 colors. Only this river. And we have some parts that are on a coast. You can find in the same time the sea, and the same time a Nevado in the same place. Colombia is so beautiful, and that has many kind of landscapes. We can find, for example, a desert in Guajira, and in that desert you can find a mountain, and it's like a oasis in the middle of the desert.
Do you have natural disasters? I know that you have hurricanes sometimes.
Yes, because the country is big, not? We have two important islands, San Andres and Providence Island, and this it's located in a Caribbean Sea, and it's near to the hurricane zone. You can find that that kind of hurricane can pass near to San Andres, yes. At the same time, for example, near to Puerto Rico, Miami. This zone has take that kind of hurricanes. Sometimes some like wines, like strong wines can arrive near to the coast, but no necessary impact the land of our country. But our islands just suffer that kind of earthquakes and that kinds. And at the same time, we inside of so we have volcano, we have mountains that move because it is a young chain of mountains. They move sometimes. For example, when it start the rains are so heavy sometimes, and sometimes there are move of lands, move of land.
Did you ever been to jungle?
Oh yes. Because
Can you share your
not is difficult to travel to jungle because you can pay a flight between one of the city, for example, Bogota, Medellin, Cartagena. You can fly to the heart of Amazonas. We have a city that is named Leticia, Amazonas. It bordered with Brazil. In Brazil, you can find a town that is Tabatinga. You can visit this place and you can stay in a three borders. You can visit. You can pass the Amazonas River and you can go to Peru. You can walk and you stay in Brazil in Tabatinga, and you can visit Leticia. It's a beautiful space because you can be found a special when you breathe, you really feel the smell of a jungle. It's a beautiful experience, and for example, I took some photos with big snakes and special birds like pelicans. Yes, it's not as difficult. You can take some tours that permit to you, for example, see pink dolphins that only stay in Amazonas River, and sometimes I don't know if in Orinoco River. Yes, not as difficult to travel to jungle in Colombia.
Do you need to have any vaccine before you go to jungle or not? Like any vaccine from the mosquitoes?
Yes, we need a vaccine that is like a yellow fever. Yellow fever against yellow fever. You can take it. It needs approximately 2 weeks. You have to take 2 weeks before that you travel. It's better for you because you can find mosquitoes, and that kind of mosquito can you can suffer damage if that mosquito appear. Yes, happen.
And what about snakes? There is some protection from snakes. How if somebody get bited by snake? What did they do in trip? They have some anti-dose.
The tour guides organize a pathway that is sure for people. But sometimes happen that for example, some people can be have an encounter with a snake. But in Colombia has like antidotes, like
Yeah, yeah.
for that kind of things, and so, it's better to that you that if it's your first time in Colombia, I really recommend that you go with a guides, legal tourings guides, because if you can take the risk that goes with illegal tourist guides, and maybe don't have the same answer if something happened. You
Yeah.
can take another risk, but normally our healthy places can be a good treatment in that case. Not as regularly that you can find that people has diet for that kind of things. Not as regular.
Now we will talk about celebrations. In Colombia, can you name most important celebrations and some tradition around how do you celebrate this?
Okay, but we have too much celebrations, but too much. So in all months, you can find a celebration in one town. So, for example, when it started, when finished the year, we are near to our biggest celebration, because, for example, we start our celebration in December 8th. We say Noche de Velitas. It's like a flame night. It's special because you can like wish some things for the next year, and you it's like the first celebration in December. But then it's like the 24th December is for us. It's like at the born of the Christian we say that Jesus born, like a Jesus born. It's our next celebration. Then in the 31 of December is the end of the year. It's a big celebration at all. And when it start January, start many carnivals in Colombia. So you can find, for example, to the Manizales carnival. You can go to in January 20. There are like say that Corralejas is with cows, with you can find in some towns you can feel like cowboys similar, but it's our traditions. And then of it, you are starting each month. You can find at least one celebration, different space, because you can, for example, you are in Bogota and you can go for in your car 3 hours, and you can go, for example, to Girardot, Melgar, to other little towns, and there you can find in a holiday San Juan, San Pedro holidays, and you can find it. Or you travel on airplane 1 hour, and you can go, for example, to cities like the like coffee cities. There are at least Pereira, Manizales, Armenia, these three countries, these three cities, you know all about of the coffee, and you can find another kind of parties about of the coffee. And you can change, and you can go, for example, to Medellin. In Medellin you can find in August a special celebration about the flowers. And you can go, for example, to Cali. In Cali, there are like a Feria de Cali, like it's a special party about of salsa about horses. We have many celebrations. Really, the month that you can travel, no matter the month you can travel to Colombia, you can see on an internet. You can find some carnival, but it's better in January, February, and in the end of the August, and in the end of the year. It's better because there are more options.
Yeah, I understand. Very interesting. So the country celebrate every month.
Yes, the country you can move. If you are boring in the end of the week, you can move to some place if you can make your plan, schedule, and you can visit. For example, each 2 years, we make a special celebration in there. In the past was two like one town with two squares. One square was built for politic group that is liberal, and one square for politic group like a conservative. Just in this town, you can find a celebration each 2 years, like 1 year, 1 year not 1 year. It's like you can find that celebration is a devil celebration, a devil parade, and you can find that every people in two squares and move and share many things, and there are many foods. It's a special celebration. Yes, the devil carnival.
What is the common food for Colombian people? What usually on the daily basis people eat in general?
Okay, we regularly we really love the rice.
Right.
We mix with beans. There is regularly. We have, for example, like the green peas, and sometimes it's normally, or in many spaces that you can red beans. Red beans are too regular. We really, for example, in a central of the country, in a mountains, potato. There are many kinds of potato, but at least 3 kinds of potato are regular because they give energy for your body. So it's regularly, and we eat. There are 3 kinds of meat regularly: that pork, like beef, and chicken. But in some regions, for example, in a coast in Guajira, you can find like a really good food about of goat, milk goat, meat goat. It's especially in that spaces.
Talking about a little bit more, talking about Colombian people, could you say what types of dances they love and what type of music usually they listen in Colombia?
Okay. So in this moment, the rhythm that it's like in all countries sound is reggaeton. Reggaeton not is from Colombia, it's more from Puerto Rico, but Puerto Rico, and especially there are some artists in Medellin, in Antioquia, who make features with Puerto Rico and with Puerto Rico artists. And reggaeton, it's in this moment, there are like in a first position, but regularly in our country, we produce a good salsa, and there are kind of salsa. For example, we don't only have the lineal salsa. It's like salsa from Cali, different to Cuban salsa. But we have, for example, in the coast, some kind of salsa that is salsa choque, salsa crush. It's another kind of salsa. Uh, and we have, I think that Colombian people really love the music, all kind of music. You can find, for example, the name is pop, like a popular pop, but not it's like you find the music pop in a word. Not it's like it's like a for drink. It's about of the deception of the love, and there are many people that really love that kind of music. And we have special music that is of our our country, that is vallenato. Vallenato is special music in our country, especially in a coast, but really love in all country, and it sounds too much in Mexico, and it sounds too much in Venezuela.
Talking about love and relationship in your country, can you maybe compare if you have this experience with other countries or just talk only about your country? Could you name beneficial parts of dating person from your country and maybe some difficulties that you can meet while dating person from your country in general, of course, all in general?
Okay. So I think that about those relationships in our country, normally it's that the man who have to take the initiative. No necessarily the girl to take initiative. No, not is regular. Sometimes happen, but no regular. So you have like to gain points with the girl, and you have like for example, prepare a date, and to invite to, for example, to see a movie, to go to like for a coffee, then go to dance, and it's regularly that kind of the way that connect for a couple. I think that it's different because I think that in other countries maybe the woman take initiative, and sometimes for Colombian guys, no, it's normal, like maybe it's like a surprise, but you can understand that it's another culture. And at the same time, the man in Colombia really like to be a talkative. So try to get a relationship with a girl, talking too much, talking about many things. Really like to now like give too much conversation. Is regularly that kind of things.
And what age people usually get married in Colombia?
Wow, I don't know the
Nowadays.
yes, I don't know the average, but I think that really approximately 27, 30 years. It's maybe for me it's the average, but you can start your relationship very young, too much young. You can start with your boyfriend, your girlfriend, maybe 14 years. For 14 years, you can start, and not is irregular, is regular. And sometimes the problem is that there are many girls that was pregnant so young, and that kind of couples don't no necessarily continues all the life, all the life. So sometimes that kind of relationship could broke in a short time. But regularly the people get married 27, 30 years.
I understand. And family institution in generally important for Colombian people.
Family institution is, I think that it's too important. So when you travel to other country, at least for me and some friends that I know, it's necessary to get contact with your family. And your family not is only one, your father, your mother, and your like your brother, your sister, not. Sometimes it's for extended family, your uncles, your aunts, your grandmama, your grandpapa. It's regularly that you has extended family in Colombia. Maybe it changed too much, like because in this moment the family are the families has less childs. So but regularly you can try to get good relationship with extended family.
The last question is about your suggestions. Where do you where one second.
Where do you visit Colombia?
Which places you would recommend to visit in Colombia?
So I really recommend many places in Colombia, but uh, uh, people really love to travel to visit, for example, Medellin, because Medellin it's a city that has many changes between the 80s and 90s violence. So now this is a smart city, and there are many options for people, and really the people who visit this city really enjoy the city. But Bogota is special. Sometimes it's difficult for the traffic, but you can go to the center of the city, to the like it's like the old place in the city, and you can find many things. But if you really want to like a live experience that cannot live in another country, I recommended that, for example, you can travel to Leticia, Amazonas. It's a beautiful place. You can find another kind of experience. You can find La Guajira, Riohacha. You can visit this city. It's really special. You can go, for example, to Bogota, then take a flight, take the airplane to go to Santa Marta, and then for land you can visit the towns of the coast, and that's very special. And for example, I recommended to go to the park of Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta. It's beautiful, and this place is it's one of the most beautiful in Colombia. And in Pacific Ocean, you have to visit Nuquí. Nuquí is a spectacular place. A spectacular place in the Pacific. I think that three spaces that maybe don't can find in other place in our world.
Thank you very much for recommendations.
Okay, okay.
So now it's time to spin in the NFT wheel. First, I will spin NFT wheel and random NFT rarity will appear. And this NFT art from this section, I will send it to your OpenSea account. Ready?
Okay, ready. Winning amount rare.
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 And random amount of USDC will be appear on the screen.
The amount. Okay, the amount.
20.